Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize. My robot vacuum is in the back, but I had to sit down and film this video before my day gets really crazy. I wanted to do like a little first impressions on the new BK Beauty angiehot&flashy brushes. So the box comes with your brushes nicely like wrapped in tissue paper on the inside, and a special note from angiehot&flashy. For those of you who don't know who angiehot&flashy is, she is a YouTuber who collaborated with Lisa J from BK Beauty to create a set of brushes for people with mature skin. And I was super intrigued because there were a couple brushes here that I feel like I don't have the shape, like the size for, and I love a brush that will seamlessly blend my eyeshadow without having to put too much work and a lot of tugging on the eye area. So you do get a total of 7 brushes, and you included in the brush set is 5 eyeshadow brushes and 2 face brushes. And one of those face brushes is the A506 concealer brush, which I'm super excited to try. I will be using it with my Chanel concealer. Can't find my words today. Concealer, and I'm going to be using shade 20 beige with that brush. So let's go ahead and do this quick little unboxing here before we get started. And here are the brushes. They come individually packaged, which I appreciate. And I'm gonna get all of these out of the plastic and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm just as a side note, I've never used any of the BK Beauty brushes. I know, sue me. So these are my very first BK Beauty brushes, and I'm super excited to try them. So I want to go ahead and start off with the A506 concealer brush, and I'm going to use that with my Chanel concealer. We will be using these brushes with the Natasha Denona Retro palette. And I don't use a lot of concealer, but I do have a very prominent vein that runs under this eye that's green, and most concealers never work for me, so we're gonna try it out with this brush. Let's see how this blends it out. I am filming in natural light for those of you who don't know. So thank you, sun, for gracing us with your presence. So this brush is absolutely really soft under the eyes, and it is doing a really good job at blending my concealer seamlessly and without having to tug. I'm just doing patting motions. Definitely one of the softest concealer brushes I've tried. Maybe I should stop putting the mirror in the middle of the viewfinder. Sorry. So that blended out really well. I am doing patting motions because sweeping motions does cause for me to have to tug on the skin, you know, on the bottom of the eye, and that's what I want to avoid. And I already put on my foundation, so I'm putting my concealer over my foundation. I did use my Bare Minerals Original Foundation, and all of the brushes have the angiehot&flashy signature on it, along with a BK Beauty stamp and the number of the brush at the end. And these little ferrules are gray with like a little shimmery kind of effect to it. I like this brush. I'm gonna tell you right now. Super soft, and I like the way that it blended my eyeshadow. I am gonna need some time to play with these a little bit more. I'll wash them and then see how they perform after a wash, because I feel like that's like the true test. This is more kind of just like a first impressions. So let's go ahead and apply some blush with the A507. And this one is called the Angled Blush Brush. Again, very soft. So I am going to use my Natasha Love Cheek Duo palette, and I'm going to use the blush that's in this palette. Yes, that is sweat that you see on my upper lip. For some reason, I am very hot. Must be the pregnancy hormones. So just patting that in. Now you guys know I like a very light, subtle blush. So I'm just applying that to the high points of my face, which is usually where I put blush. And that's where Angie likes to put her, place her blush as well, because it kind of gives that like uplift to your face. I'm going in with a really light hand with this blush because Natasha Denona's makeup is very pigmented. But so far so good. This blush is really performing nicely. It is soft, it's not scratchy on the skin, which is a really big pet peeve of mine when it comes to brushes. All right, so I think that's enough. So see, super soft effect. I don't like a very strong blush. If you've been following me for a long time, you guys know that I like a blush that is very subtle. So I go in with a very light hand. And this particular brush, because it's angled, it allows me to place that blush directly in that area so that it gives you that kind of effect versus it being round. I like so far. All right, so the reason I'm using a Natasha Denona palette is because I want to try out the A505 Shimmer Brush. So this is flat, and I want to see how this performs dry on these special shades. So the first thing we're gonna go in with is the A501 brush, and this is called the Lid Shader Brush. And we're gonna go ahead and apply, what do I wanna do? Actually, let's start with a transition shade, shall we? Let's do that. Let's use the A502, what does she call this? Crease Shader Brush. So this is a small crease shader brush. Angie has hooded eyelids, so both of the crease brushes that are in here, the A504, which is the detailer brush, and the crease brush, are both really good for hooded eyes as well as regular eyes, but I really love the fact that you get two different sizes for that more detailed work. So I am gonna go in with the 502, and I'm gonna start off with a transition shade. Let's go ahead and apply some, ooh, it's gonna be tricky. Let's go ahead and put Vivian as the transition shade. And this is a creamy matte. So super excited to try this. Oh, people are really speeding down this road today. Now with this same brush, I am gonna go into Go-Go, this shade right here, and I'm gonna layer that on top of Vivian, just to give it a little bit of depth. Again, this is another creamy matte shade. Okay, so I'm not experiencing any skipping with this brush, which is usually my concern with crease brushes, especially smaller ones. Because I have larger eyelids and the veins on my eyes are very prominent, a lot of the times it looks like I have skipping, and it's not actual skipping, it's my green veins really protruding. Because they like are, they kind of stick out from my skin. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I don't have any skipping with this brush, and I tend to find that with smaller crease brushes, there tends to be that problem with skipping when your eyelids are not, when my eyelids are not hooded and I have more space to work with. I don't know if that happens to you guys as well. Let me know in the comments down below, but this is doing a really good job at blending my shadow. Next, I want to go in with the A504 brush, which is a smaller blending brush, and this one I want to use for detail work. And I want to go into the shade Amara, which is this beautiful burgundy matte. And I want to use that to give my outer crease a little bit of dimension. And a little bit goes a long way. So I'm really just placing that and then kind of using circular motions to sort of blend that into the crease. Drag that a little bit into the inner V. Again, super soft, this brush. And Amara is a very deep burgundy shade, so you do have to go in with a light hand because this could be super strong on the lid. So again, just placing a little bit on the outer corner, dragging it in on that outer V. And just using a light hand. Oh, it's such a beautiful shade, really. This whole palette, if you guys haven't picked it up and you haven't used your coupon during the Sephora sale yet, highly recommend this palette. This palette has more matte shades than any of her other palettes. So if you're like me and you don't like a ton of shimmer, you're more comfortable working with mattes, I totally recommend this. So this is where we are. And let me zoom you guys in a little bit so that you can see better. Okay, so as you can see, I've just applied Amara onto the outer corner. And then I'm gonna go in with the A503 brush. This is called the blender brush. And so this is the brush that's usually clean and she'll use to go in and blend out the crease to give it that blown out effect, which is what I'm gonna do. Just make sure that everything is working together. Blend, blend, blend. But you guys see what I'm talking about? My veins, like they pop out of my eyelids. So next I'm going to use the A501 shader brush. And we're going to use this and go into Patty. And I am going to apply Patty on my lid. And I am using colors I didn't use in the first video I did using this palette. So this is, guys, these brushes are so soft. Very nice. I love the shape of this shader brush. It covers a lot of surface area very quickly, which I appreciate because I do my makeup in the morning before going to work. And I usually don't have all the time in the world to be applying my makeup in the morning. And it does a really good job at just spreading this shadow out. There we go. Let me just even it out a little bit. I feel like I have more on one eye than the other. I want to go back in with my A502 blender brush and just use what's left on the brush and just work that in. That's pretty. I'm gonna slightly dip into Amara, just a little bit, because I wanna feel like that it got lost a little bit. I may have over blended everything. All right, gonna go back in with the Blender 503 brush. Soften up those edges. And now I want to use the A505 Shimmer Brush. And I used Psychedelic last time, so I'm gonna go in and use Glitz, which is the other special shade in the palette. I'll wait for my camera to focus. This shade right here. And I'm not wetting my brush. I just want to see how this is gonna perform without having to wet the brush. And I am gonna apply that to the center of the lid. Like so. Oof. I really like that. So far, this is the only synthetic brush I've been able to use with my Natasha Denona special shades. None of my Real Technique brushes work with this formula. I just want you to know. Not a single one that I own. Unless I wet it, and I don't want to wet it because then I get too much of an intense effect, which is not what I'm looking for. So I'm kind of just blending that out in the center of the lid there. That's really pretty. Okay, so I have my makeup eraser wipe here. I'm going to get my blender brush and kind of just swirl it on there to take off any kind of eyeshadow. And I'm gonna go into the shade Mod, and I'm gonna use that to highlight my brow bone just a little bit. It is a matte shade, not a shimmery shade. But it does give a pretty soft highlighting effect. I love that. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the detailer brush, which is the A504. This is a really small blender brush, And I'm gonna pick up just a little bit more of Go-Go, which is this shade right here. So I use these two in the crease. Go-Go and what was this one called? Amara. So I used these two in the crease. So I'm gonna go in with Go-Go. Just a little bit, not a lot. I want to intensify a little bit this situation right here. Kind of make them even. Okay, I love that. All right, I'm going to apply some eyeliner and mascara and I'll be right back. So this is the completed look using the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy brushes. So I did apply my Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel to my brows, and this is in the color Espresso. I applied my Charlotte Tilbury Barbarella Brown eyeliner to my top lashes, just halfway. And I did apply my Bare Minerals Lash Domination Mascara to my top and bottom lashes. And I went ahead for lips. I used my Fenty Beauty Cream, what's this called? Cream Gloss Bomb in Mod Wives #1. I love this shade. I actually found out about this shade from Jen from Just Glow Firefly. If you don't follow her on YouTube, I highly recommend that you do. She's a super fun, bright personality, and she has no idea who I am, but I am a huge fan of hers. She's super nice, and it brings me joy watching her channel because her energy is just so happy and so positive. Anyways, moving right along. I do love these gloss bombs because you get a lot of pigment, but it's a gloss and it lasts quite some time. So I'm very pleasantly surprised that these synthetic brushes could actually be used with a Natasha Denona palette, because I find that Natasha Denona palettes don't play well with synthetic brushes. And which is why I had to buy Refer brushes, which were natural haired brushes, because none of my synthetic brushes actually work with her special shades. So I'm so happy that this shimmer brush that she created, I can use dry, because I really don't like to wet my brushes. I find that since I shy away from, you know, that shimmer kind of effect, any kind of shimmery shade, I want it to be very subtle instead of that high shine impact, which is why I don't go in with my finger and I don't like to wet my brush. That's just my personal preference. Now, the brushes come with this card, and she wrote a really nice letter that says, "Thank you so much for your order. My brush collection was inspired by you, my viewers, to help mature women look their most confident and beautiful best. XO, Angie." So although these brushes were created for mature skin, I feel like anybody can use them. And there's 7 brushes for $125. I did pick mine up during the Friday sale, so I ended up getting them for $100. I do love them. If you can't afford that because it's a high price point, I would wait for a 20% off sale again. These brushes are not limited edition, thank God. So they will continue to be available. If they're out of stock, don't worry. Lisa J says that they are working on restock constantly with these brushes because people are actually loving them. On the back of the card, you have a detailed description of what each brush is for, and it says that they're 100% cruelty-free vegan fiber, more consistent fiber with less breakage, luxurious feel, flawless performance, superior pickup and payoff. So according to Angie and the video that she did on her own brushes explaining, you know the whole background on that, which I recommend you guys watch, these ferrules are actually a little bit longer than the standard size, and she did that because she wanted her brushes to be able, the core brushes that she uses on a daily, to slightly stick out from her regular brushes that she has in the cup, so that it's easy for her to pick up when she is doing her makeup and she doesn't have to be rummaging around in the jar, which I found to be genius because these brushes are actually longer than the ones that I have, and they do significantly stick up. So it's definitely something that's going to make it super easy for me to reach for. Finally, because this is a first impressions and I've never played with BK Beauty brushes, all in all, I do love these brushes because I'm actually super impressed that they worked with a Natasha Denona palette. Mostly the reason I picked up this brush set was for the two small blender brushes, which is the 502 and the 504. You just hold them side by side there for you. The Shimmer Brush, which is the A505. You can buy these separately, by the way, in case you wanted to know. And of course, the A506 concealer brush. I mean, I love applying my concealer with my beauty blender, but a brush, I mean, not that there's other concealer brushes, but it's the shape of the brush is what I'm trying to say. This shape right here mimics my finger, or that shape a beauty blender has where it's like angled, which I find to be more effective on the shape of my, I don't know if it's just my under eye, but the way that my under eye is set up, I find that the flatter or more rounded concealer brushes tend to either streak my concealer, or it will leave slight brush marks or indentation marks where it'll cause like a weird effect in this area in particular. So I was very surprised that this brush actually worked. I know there was a lot of people who really loved it, but I had to try it for myself and I really do like it. So like I said, I will be updating you guys though with the video once I've had enough time to play around with them, because I feel like a true test and a true review of a product is something that you've been using and you've washed. Because see, brushes, like once you wash them, are they gonna perform the same? That to me is what I want to know, because they are pricey. So I expect for performance to stay the same even after I wash them. So I did want to get on here and do a little quick first impressions with this this brush set, because I know you guys, a couple of you commented that you just needed to know like if they were soft. I think as of right now, my first impression is I really love them, and I would buy them again. I mean, just the fact that I can use my Natasha Denona palettes with these, I'm all over it. I am all over it. All right, leave me your comment down below. I want to know if you guys picked up this set, if you liked it, what your overall thoughts are. Have you washed yours? How are they performing? I don't have hooded eyes. I actually have very giant eyelids from what my friends tell me. But I do have to say that I really love working with smaller blender brushes. I feel like I have more control over the pigment placement, especially when I'm working with darker shades and really high pigmented shades like Natasha Denona's eyeshadows. All right, you guys, that completes this video. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye.